The Curious Case of Adonai Mitchell, Navigating the Challenges of the NFL Draft Process. As the 2024 NFL Draft approached, the name Adonai Mitchell was one that had been generating significant buzz around the league. The talented wide receiver out of the University of Texas had put together an impressive collegiate career, showcasing a tantalizing blend of size, speed, and ball skills that had scouts and analysts alike projecting him as a potential early-round selection. Mitchell's standout 2023 season, in which he hauled in 75 catches for 1,172 yards and 13 touchdowns, had solidified his status as one of the top receiver prospects in the class. Many pundits had him pegged as a surefire first-round pick, potentially even cracking the top 20 selections. However, when the moment of truth arrived at draft night, Mitchell found himself in an unexpected and unfamiliar position, waiting anxiously as player after player was selected, with his name seemingly absent from the proceedings. It wasn't until the 51st overall pick, when the Indianapolis Colts finally called his name, that Mitchell's long-anticipated NFL dream was realized. The dramatic slide down the draft board left many observers scratching their heads, wondering what could have possibly caused such a talented player to tumble so far down the pecking order. As the dust settled, a complex and multifaceted narrative began to emerge, one that shed light on the challenges and obstacles Mitchell had faced throughout the pre-draft process. A promising collegiate career. Adonai Mitchell's path to the NFL draft started long before the 2024 college football season kicked off. The Atlanta native had been making waves on the high school football circuit, showcasing his immense potential and earning a coveted four-star recruit designation from the major scouting services. As he arrived at the University of Texas campus in 2020, Mitchell wasted little time in making an impact. He quickly established himself as a dynamic playmaker, hauling in 41 receptions for 698 yards and 7 touchdowns as a true freshman, earning a spot on the Big 12 All-Freshman team. Over the next 2 seasons, Mitchell continued to blossom, emerging as one of the most dominant receivers in the conference. In 2022, he turned in a truly remarkable campaign, racking up 1,172 receiving yards and 13 touchdowns, earning first-team All-Big 12 honors and solidifying his status as a top NFL prospect. "Adonai was just an incredible talent from the moment he stepped on the field for us," said former Texas head coach Steve Sarkisian. "His combination of size, speed, and ball skills was really something special. He had the ability to take over games and really impact the outcome in so many different ways." Despite the Longhorns' overall struggles on the field during Mitchell's tenure, his individual brilliance was undeniable. He consistently drew double teams from opposing defenses, yet still managed to put up eye-popping numbers. His ability to make contested catches, stretch the field vertically, and create yards after the catch had scouts drooling over his potential at the next level. "When you turn on the film, it's impossible not to be impressed by Adonai's talent," said one NFC area scout. "He's got all the tools you look for in a prototypical NFL wide receiver. The size, the speed, the ball skills. He's a rare athlete, and you can see why so many teams were infatuated with his potential." The pre-draft process. Cause for concern. As Mitchell prepared to enter the 2024 NFL Draft, the excitement and anticipation around his professional prospects only continued to grow. He was widely viewed as a surefire first-round pick, with many mock drafts and projections having him coming off the board somewhere in the mid to late 20s. However, as the pre-draft process unfolded, troubling rumors and whispers began to surface about potential character concerns and off-field issues surrounding the young receiver. Suddenly, the once clear path to the NFL was becoming increasingly murky and uncertain. "I think a lot of teams started to have some real questions and reservations about Adonai as the pre-draft process went on," said one AFC executive, speaking on the condition of anonymity. "There were some red flags that popped up, both in terms of his maturity and his ability to handle certain responsibilities off the field." One of the primary issues that seemed to give teams pause was Mitchell's management of his type 1 diabetes, a condition he had been diagnosed with at a young age. According to multiple reports, some organizations had concerns about Mitchell's ability to properly monitor and control his blood sugar levels, which could potentially impact his performance and availability on the field. The diabetes thing was definitely a concern for a lot of teams, the executive continued. There were questions about whether he was taking it seriously enough, whether he was being proactive in managing it. When you're dealing with a player's health and well-being, that's obviously a big consideration. Beyond the diabetes-related issues, there were also whispers of broader character concerns surrounding Mitchell, including questions about his maturity and ability to handle the demands of the professional game. The interviews were really where a lot of these concerns started to surface, said the scout. Teams just didn't get the sense that Adonai was fully prepared for the jump to the NFL, both mentally and emotionally. There were some red flags about his overall maturity level and his willingness to put in the necessary work. Unfortunately for Mitchell, these concerns seemed to spread rapidly throughout the league, casting a dark cloud over his draft stock and causing teams to re-evaluate their interest in the once-coveted prospect. It's a shame because the talent is undeniably there with Adonai, the scout added, but the NFL is a different beast, and teams just didn't feel confident that he was ready to handle the demands of the professional game, both on and off the field. The draft night slide. As the 2024 NFL Draft kicked off on that fateful Thursday evening, Mitchell and his supporters were filled with a sense of eager anticipation. With his talent and production at the collegiate level, many expected his name to be called relatively early in the proceedings, potentially even within the first round. However, as the picks continued to roll in, Mitchell's name remained conspicuously absent from the board. One by one, wide receivers were selected ahead of him, leaving the former Texas standout and his family members increasingly anxious and bewildered. It was just a really surreal and disorienting experience, Mitchell recalled in a later interview. I had worked so hard and put in so much effort to get to this point, and then to just see my name repeatedly passed over. It was really tough to process. As the first round drew to a close, Mitchell's slide only continued. The second round began, and still, his name failed to be called. Rumors and speculation swirled around the reasons for his precipitous fall, with whispers of character concerns and off-field issues seemingly gaining traction. I think a lot of teams just didn't feel comfortable taking a chance on Adonai, given the questions that had come up about his maturity and his ability to handle the challenges of the NFL, one NFC scout remarked. When you're making a high-profile investment in a player, you want to feel confident that they have the mental and emotional makeup to succeed. And for a lot of teams, that just wasn't the case with Adonai. Finally, as the draft entered the third round, the Indianapolis Colts stepped up and ended Mitchell's nerve-wracking wait, selecting him with the 51st overall pick. While it was undoubtedly a dream come true for the young receiver, the dramatic slide had left an indelible mark on both him and his supporters. I was just relieved to finally hear my name called, to know that I would be getting that opportunity to live out my NFL dream, Mitchell said. But at the same time, I couldn't help but feel a sense of disappointment and confusion about why it had taken so long, why so many teams had passed me over. The aftermath. Addressing the concerns. As the dust settled on the 2024 NFL Draft, the focus quickly shifted to Mitchell's landing spot with the Indianapolis Colts. The team, led by General Manager Chris Ballard, had made the unconventional decision to select Mitchell in the second round, despite the concerns that had seemingly caused him to tumble down the draft board. For Ballard and the Colts, the selection of Mitchell represented a calculated risk, one that they believed was worth taking given the immense upside and potential of the young receiver. We did a lot of digging and a lot of due diligence on Adonai, and while there were certainly some red flags that came up, we felt like the talent and the upside were just too good to pass up, Ballard said in his post-draft press conference. We're confident that we can work with